his boots crushing glass and ash under every step. The air was heavy with smoke, and the silence felt wrong, like the war had not truly ended. He was not supposed to be alone, but he had. Stayed behind while the others moved forward, checking the last ruins, making sure no enemy was left alive. His orders were clear: no survivors, no risks. Still, something felt strange. Then he heard it, a soft voice, weak and shaking. "Who, man? Don't leave." He froze, his hand tightening around his weapon, his eyes scanning the dark building ahead. That voice was not human. Slowly, carefully, he stepped inside. Broken walls surrounded him, and the roof above had almost collapsed. Dust fell. With every movement, again, the voice came, softer this time. "Please." He followed the sound, his heartbeat rising, ready for danger. Then he saw her, a small alien child, sitting in the corner, her body shaking, her skin pale and marked with dirt, her large eyes filled with fear. She was from the enemy species, the same ones they had been fighting for years, the same ones he was trained to destroy without question. But this was just a child. She looked at him, and instead of fear, she reached out her small hand. "Who? Man." He did not move at first, his mind filled with everything he had been told. Aliens are dangerous. Aliens cannot be trusted. Aliens will kill you if you hesitate. But she did none of those things. She was shaking, scared, and alone. Slowly, he lowered his weapon. The child moved closer, her steps weak, like she had no strength left. Then she grabbed his hand. Her grip was small, but tight, like she was afraid he would disappear. "Don't leave," she whispered. Something inside him changed at that moment. He had seen many things in war: destruction, loss, death. But this felt different. This was not an enemy. This was someone who needed help. But his orders were clear. No survivors. His radio suddenly made a sharp sound. "Breaking the moment. Unit 7, report your position," the commander's voice said. Cold and direct. The soldier looked down at the child. She held his hand tighter, her eyes full of silent fear. If they found her, they would not hesitate. He knew that. Everyone knew that. The soldier stayed silent for a few seconds, his mind racing. "Unit 7, respond now." The voice came again, stronger this time. He took a slow breath, then finally spoke. "Area clear," he said, his voice steady, even though his heart was not. The child looked up at him, like she understood something important had just happened. He had lied. For the first time in the war, he had disobeyed an order, and he did it for her. The sound of distant footsteps echoed outside. Other soldiers were getting closer, searching building by building. There was no time. He looked around quickly, then gently pulled the child toward a dark corner behind broken walls. "Stay quiet," he whispered, even though he knew she barely understood. She nodded slightly, still holding his hand. He tried to move away, just for a second, to check the entrance, but she did not let go. Her grip became tighter, desperate. "Don't leave, human." He stopped, that word again, human. Like it was not just what he was, but who he was to her. Not a soldier, not an enemy, just human. The footsteps outside grew louder. Voices could be heard now. "Check inside," someone said. The soldier looked at the child one more time. This was the moment. If he walked away now, everything would go back to normal. No risk, no trouble, no broken rules. But if he stayed, everything would change. He tightened his grip on her small hand and made his choice. He was not going to leave her. The footsteps outside were getting closer, heavy boots hitting the ground, voices sharp and alert. The human soldier stood still in the dark corner, the small alien child hiding behind him, her tiny fingers still holding his hand tightly. He could feel her fear. It was almost like her heartbeat was speaking to him, fast and panicked. "Stay quiet," he whispered again, softer this time. She nodded, pressing closer to him. A bright light suddenly entered the broken building, flashlights cutting through the dust. "Clear this side," one soldier said. The human soldiers stepped forward before they could come deeper inside, blocking their view. Nothing here, he said quickly. His voice calm but firm. One of the soldiers looked at him, suspicious. You checked properly? Yes, he replied, without hesitation. There was a short silence. Then the other soldier shrugged. Move on. The footsteps slowly faded away. The light disappeared, and the building returned to silence. The human soldier let out a slow breath he did not know he was holding, for now. They were safe. He turned back. The child was still there, watching him with wide eyes. She stepped closer again, like she was afraid even a small distance would make him disappear. Human, she said softly. He looked at her carefully now, really seeing her for the first time. She was smaller than he thought, her body weak, her movements slow, like she had not eaten for days. Her skin had small glowing marks, very faint, almost like fading light. He remembered hearing something about their kind, something about energy, survival. But he was not a scientist, he was just a soldier, and soldiers were not trained for this. The child looked around, confused, then back at him, hungry. She whispered. That one word hit him harder than anything else. Hungry, not dangerous, not enemy, just hungry. He slowly reached into his bag and took out a small food pack. It was not much, just basic rations. He hesitated for a second. This was military supply, not meant to be shared with the enemy. But then he looked at her again, and the decision felt simple. He opened the pack and gave it to her. She looked at it like she had never seen something like that before. Then she looked at him, waiting, like she needed permission. He nodded. Eat. She took a small bite first, slow and careful. Then suddenly, she started eating faster, like she was afraid it would disappear. He watched silently, something strange growing inside his chest, something he had not felt in a long time. Relief. After a few moments, she stopped and held the pack toward him. For you. He blinked, surprised. Even now, she wanted to share. He shook his head. It's yours, she smiled, just a little. It was the first time he saw that. And it changed something again, suddenly. A loud explosion echoed in the distance. The ground shook slightly, dust falling from above. The child flinched and quickly moved closer, almost hiding against him. Stay, she said quickly, her voice shaking. He looked toward the broken entrance, his soldier instincts returning. This area was no longer safe. If fighting started again, they would be caught in the middle. He needed to move, but moving with her. That was another risk. He looked down at her. She was already looking at him, waiting, trusting. That trust felt heavy. Too heavy for someone who was supposed to be her enemy. What do I do with you? He whispered quietly. She did not understand the words, but she understood his voice. She stepped closer and gently held his arm this time, not just his hand, like she was choosing him. Like he was her only safe place in a world that had taken everything from her. Outside, distant gunfire started again, echoing through the ruined city. The war was not over, not even close. He closed his eyes for a brief second, then opened them again. His decision became clear. He picked up his weapon, then looked at her. We have to move, he said, slow and clear. She did not fully understand, but she nodded anyway, because she trusted him, and that trust was now his responsibility. The human soldier moved carefully through the broken streets, every step slow and silent, the alien child walking close beside him, her small hand holding onto his sleeve like it was the only safe thing left in her world. The sky above was dark with smoke, and far away, the sound of gunfire still echoed. The war was still alive, still dangerous. He looked down at her for a moment. She was trying to walk like him, copying each step, lifting her feet the same way, stopping when he stopped, moving when he moved. It was strange. She was learning from him, not as an enemy, but like a child learning from someone she trusted. He turned into a narrow alley, checking both sides quickly before moving forward. Stay close, he said quietly. She nodded, even though she understood only a few words, but his tone. She understood that, after some time, they reached a half-destroyed building, its walls still standing enough to give cover. He stopped there, looking around carefully. This will do. For now, he muttered. The child slowly sat down on the ground, clearly tired. Her breathing soft but heavy, he noticed it. She was weaker than she was showing. He took out a small water container and gave it to her. She held it with both hands, drinking slowly this time, not rushing like before. Then she looked at him again. Human. He sighed quietly. "That's not my name," he said, almost to himself. But she smiled a little, like she liked calling him that. For her, it was his name. He sat down near the broken wall, keeping his weapon ready, his eyes still watching the outside. There was a long silence. For the first time, it did not feel dangerous, just quiet. After a few moments, the child moved closer again, sitting near him. She watched everything he did, his hands, his face, even the way he held his weapon. Then slowly she copied him. She picked up a small piece of metal from the ground and held it like he held his gun. He noticed and almost smiled, but stopped himself. "This is not a game," he said softly. She tilted her head, not understanding. But then she placed the metal down. Like she knew it was not important. Her attention went back to him. Always back to him. After some time he stood up. "We move again soon," he said. He started walking toward the exit, testing the path ahead. But when he turned back, she was not behind him. She was still sitting there, frozen, her eyes wide. He frowned. "Come," he said, motioning with his hand. She did not move. Her body started shaking slightly. "No," she whispered. He stepped closer, confused. "What is it?" She looked at the dark corner behind her, then back at him, fear growing in her eyes. "Alone." "No." He understood. She was afraid of being left behind. He looked at her for a moment, then made a choice. "I'll be right back," he said, pointing to the ground, trying to make her understand. Then he took a few steps away again, just to check outside. But the moment he moved too far, she panicked. Her breathing became fast, and she quickly ran toward him, grabbing his arm tightly. "Don't leave, human." Her voice broke this time, full of fear. He stopped immediately, surprised by how strong her reaction was. "It's okay," he said, softer now. She shook her head quickly, holding him tighter, like she believed he would disappear if she let go. That moment hit him harder than anything before. This was not just fear. This was something deeper. She had already lost too much, and now she was afraid to lose him too. He slowly knelt down to her level. "I'm not leaving," he said, clear and calm. She looked into his eyes, searching for truth. Then slowly, her grip relaxed just a little, but she did not let go, not fully. He stood up again, this time not moving away from her. "Together," he said, using the simplest word he could think of. She repeated it softly. "Together." A small smile appeared on her face again, and this time he did not stop himself from smiling back. Far away, another explosion echoed through the city. The war was still there, still waiting, but for this moment, they were not alone anymore. The human soldier and the alien child moved through the broken streets, staying close to the shadows, the sound of distant gunfire still echoing around them, the air cold and heavy. The child stayed right beside him, like she had learned that staying close meant staying safe. He stopped suddenly, raising his hand. She froze immediately, copying him without question. Voices, human voices, close, too close. Barely a sound, she nodded, her eyes wide, her breathing slow but tense. The voices grew louder. "Search every corner," one of them said. "Commander thinks something is off," another replied. The soldier's expression hardened. They were not just searching randomly anymore. They were suspicious. He carefully looked through a small crack in the wall. 3 human soldiers, fully armed, moving slowly, checking everything, his own people, his own side. The child gently pulled his sleeve, trying to get his attention. He looked down. She pointed at the soldiers, then at herself, then shook her head slightly. She understood. They were danger. Even if they were his kind, he gave a small nod. "Yes." "Danger," he whispered. The footsteps came closer, too close. One of the soldiers suddenly turned toward their hiding place. "Wait," he said, raising his weapon slightly. The human soldier's heart beat faster, his grip tightening around his weapon. If they were found now, there would be no explaining, no second chances. The soldier stepped closer, his boots crunching on broken stone. The alien child pressed closer behind him, hiding completely, her small hands gripping his arm tightly. The human soldier made his decision in that moment. He stepped out from the shadows before they could discover them. "Clear here," he said firmly, his voice steady. The other soldiers turned quickly, surprised. "Unit 7? One of them said, lowering his weapon slightly. "What are you doing here?" "Finishing sweep," he replied, calm and controlled. The soldiers looked at each other, something unsure in their expressions. "We already cleared this zone," one said. "Commander wants double check." The human soldier answered without hesitation. There was a short silence. Then one of them stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "You alone?" The child stayed completely still, not making a sound. For a moment, it felt like everything had stopped. Then, a small piece of broken metal shifted under the child's foot, making a faint sound. It was quiet, but in that silence, it was loud enough. All three soldiers reacted instantly, weapons raised. What was that? One shouted. The soldier in front of him moved fast, stepping to the side, trying to see behind him. The human soldier blocked the view immediately, stepping forward. "Just debris," he said quickly, but it was too late. One of them caught a glimpse, a small shape, not human. "Contact!" The soldier shouted, raising his weapon fully now. The alien child froze, her eyes wide with fear. The human soldier reacted without thinking. He stepped between them, placing himself in front of the child. "Stand down," he said loudly, his voice stronger than before. "Move aside." The other soldier shouted, anger rising. "That's not a civilian." "She's just a child," he replied. "Child or not, it's the enemy." The tension exploded in that moment, weapons pointed, voices rising, trust breaking. Behind him, the child grabbed his arm again, shaking. "Human," she whispered, her voice full of fear. He could feel her fear, stronger than before, but he did not move. "Lower your weapon," he said again, slower this time. The other soldier laughed shortly, cold and sharp. "You've lost your mind," he said. "No," the human soldier replied quietly. "I'm remembering it." For a second no one spoke. The words hung in the air, confusing, unexpected. Then suddenly, a loud explosion hit nearby, the ground shaking hard, dust and debris falling around them. The moment broke. "Fall back!" One of the soldiers shouted, turning away. "Move!" The others followed quickly, the chaos of war pulling them away. In seconds, they were gone. The street returned to silence again. The human soldier stood still, breathing slowly. Behind him, the child still held onto him. There was no going back. Explosions echoed from every direction, and the sky flashed with distant fire. The human soldier moved quickly through the broken paths, the alien child in his arms this time, too weak to keep walking. Her face pressed against his shoulder, like she was trying to hide from the world. "Safe," she whispered softly. He looked ahead, his eyes scanning for danger. "Not yet," he answered, his voice calm but serious. They needed a place to hide, a place where no one would find them. After a few minutes, he found an old underground entrance, half destroyed, hidden under fallen metal and stone. It was dark, narrow, and risky, but it was better than staying outside. He stepped inside carefully. It was enough. He gently placed the child down. She stayed close, still holding his arm, like she was afraid the darkness would take him away. He sat beside her, listening carefully, making sure no one had followed. Silence, only their breathing. After a moment, the child looked up at him again, her glowing mark slightly brighter now. He noticed it immediately. "That's new," he said quietly. Then she touched her own arm, where the light was slowly moving under her skin. "Hurts," she whispered. He frowned, leaning closer. The glow was not just light, it was something more, something alive. He remembered something from a briefing, something about the alien species they were fighting. Energy-based biology, rare, unstable, powerful. His eyes widened slightly. "Wait," he said softly. "Could it be?" Heavy movement, machines, voices, not human voices, different, sharper, unfamiliar. The child reacted instantly, her body tensing, fear returning to her eyes. She grabbed his arm tightly. "They come," she said, her voice shaking. He understood immediately. Enemy forces. Someone. He looked at the child again, then back toward the entrance above. A terrible thought formed in his mind. "They're looking for you." She did not answer, but her silence said enough. She knew. Suddenly, loud footsteps rushed above them. "Scan the area." Another replied. The human soldier's heart beat faster. This was not normal search. This was a mission, and she was the target. He looked back at her. "Who are you?" he whispered. She stared at him for a moment, like she was trying to understand the question. Then slowly, she placed her small hand on her chest. "Last," she said quietly. The word hit him hard. Last, the last of her kind. Or something even more important. The glowing marks on her skin became brighter for a moment, then dim again, like her energy was unstable. He realized something else. She was not just being hunted, she was needed. By both sides, humans would see her as a weapon. Aliens would see her as something valuable. Like a machine scanning the ground. "We don't have much time," he said quickly. She looked at him, fear clear in her eyes. "Stay." "Human." He nodded immediately. "I'm here," he said, firm and calm. But they were close, very close. The soldier stood up quickly, helping her to her feet. "We have to move now," he said. The truth was clear now. This was not just about survival anymore. This was about something much bigger, and he was already part of it, whether he wanted it or not. The ground above them shook again, stronger this time. Dust falling like rain from the cracked ceiling. The hidden place was breaking apart. The narrow exit, every step fast but careful. The sound of machines and voices growing louder outside. "They are close," he said under his breath. The child tightened her grip around his neck, her small body trembling. "Human." "Don't leave," she whispered again, her voice weak but full of fear. "I won't," he answered immediately, without thinking. And this time, he meant it more than ever. He pushed through the broken entrance and stepped back into the ruined city. The sky was burning. Ships hovered above, lights scanning the ground, searching. This was not just a battle anymore. This was a hunt, and they were the target. He moved quickly between destroyed buildings, keeping to the shadows, trying to avoid the scanning lights. Every second mattered now suddenly. A loud mechanical sound echoed behind him. He turned quickly. A large enemy drone appeared from the smoke, its glowing sensors locking onto them instantly. "Target found," a cold voice echoed from it. "Fired." Energy blasts hitting the ground behind him, explosions shaking the street. He turned into a narrow path, barely escaping another blast, debris falling around him. There was no safe place left. He knew he could not outrun it forever. He needed another plan. He stopped suddenly behind a broken wall, breathing hard, his eyes searching for something. Anything. The drone moved closer, scanning. The child looked up at him, her glowing marks flickering faster now, like her energy was unstable again. "You go," she said suddenly, her voice shaking. He looked at her confused. "What?" "Human. Go." Tears forming in her eyes. "Danger." "You." A deep, painful feeling. "No," he said again, stronger this time. "I'm not leaving you." The drone suddenly appeared above them, its weapon charging. A bright light forming at its center. "End of target," it said coldly. The soldier knew what was coming. There was no time left. He looked around quickly, his voice calm but serious. She grabbed his arm instantly, panic in her eyes. "No, human. No." He placed his hand over hers, slowly removing her grip. "It's okay," he said softly. For a second, everything slowed down. The noise, the war, the fear. Only that moment existed. She looked at him, her eyes searching his face. Then she said something, clearer than ever before. "You. My family." The words hit him harder than any weapon. Family. He had not heard that word in a long time. Not since before the war. His chest tightened, but his mind became clear. This was his choice, not as a soldier, but as a human. He stepped away from her, turning to face the drone, his weapon ready. "Hey." "New target," it said. The child reached out from behind, her voice breaking. "Human." But he did not turn back. He stood his ground. The weapon of the drone charged brighter, ready to fire, and in that moment, he did not feel fear, only one thought: keep her safe. The blast fired. A bright light cutting through the air. The explosion hit near him, throwing him back. Dust and fire filling the space. For a few seconds, everything went silent. Then slowly, the noise returned. The war continued. Behind the broken metal, the child stayed frozen, her small hands shaking, her eyes wide with fear. "Human," she whispered, barely a sound. The smoke began to clear, and through it, the smoke slowly faded from the broken streets. The sound of war still distant, but weaker now, like the battlefield itself had paused for a moment. Her eyes searching through the dust for one thing, for him, human. She whispered again, her voice breaking. There was no answer at first. Only silence, heavy silence. Then, slowly, a shape appeared through the smoke. Still alive, the child froze for a second, not believing what she was seeing. Then she ran. "Human," she cried, her small voice echoing through the broken street. She reached him just as he collapsed onto one knee. He was breathing hard, but his eyes were open, and when he saw her, he smiled slightly. "I told you," he said weakly. "I'm not leaving." She grabbed his arm tightly, shaking. "Why?" she asked, her voice full of confusion and emotion. He tried to stand, but his strength was low. So he stayed kneeling. For a moment, he just looked at her. This small alien child, once an enemy, once a target. Now something completely different, something he could not leave behind. "You said it yourself," he said softly. "Your family." Her eyes widened. "Family doesn't get left behind," he added. The wind moved through the broken city, carrying ash and dust. The war above was still happening. Ships still in the sky, but down here, something had changed. The child leaned into him, holding onto his arm, not wanting to let go even for a second. "Safe now?" she asked quietly. He looked around slowly, then nodded. "For now," he said. Far above them, the battle signals began to shift, communication breaking, confusion spreading. The drone that had attacked them was gone, destroyed in the explosion. Civilian alien child protected, non-hostile, repeat, non-hostile. At first, no one believed it, but the image was clear. A soldier protecting the enemy, protecting a child. A silence spread through the command lines, confusion replacing orders. But down in the ruins, none of that mattered anymore. The soldier slowly stood up, holding the child's hand. "Can you walk?" he asked gently. She nodded, though still weak. He supported her as they began to move forward, away from the battlefield. Each step was slow, but steady. Together, after a long silence, she spoke again. "Human, stay?" He looked down at her. A long pause followed. The war was not over, the danger was not gone, and nothing about the future was certain. But in that moment, his answer was simple. "Yes," he said, "I stay." Her grip tightened slightly, like she was afraid even words could disappear. They walked through the broken city together, past ruins, past fire, past the remains of war. But something new was growing in that destruction. Not weapons, not fear, but trust. The kind that should not have existed between them. A human soldier and an alien child. Enemies by history, family by choice. As they moved away from the battlefield, the child looked up at him once more. "Human," she said softly. He looked back at her. "Yes?" She smiled faintly, for the first time without fear. "Don't leave." He gently squeezed her hand. "I won't," he replied. And together, they walked forward into the unknown. A family formed in the ruins of destruction. And for the first time in a long time, the war did not feel like the end of the story, but the beginning of something new.